Exiting work, I saw an empty parking space. My new 2024 Corolla, fully paid for, had vanished. I phoned my mom in a panic. Son, calm down. We lent it to Bryan. He requires it more. My younger sibling had wrecked 2 autos in 3 years. This was my first brand new car ever. I ended the call and dialed 911. You ever have that gut-wrenching moment where your entire world just drops? I mean, really drops? What if I told you the biggest betrayal I ever faced didn't come from a stranger, but from the very people who were supposed to love me most? And for what? For my car. My new car. My name's Lance. I'm 31, and I've been a roofer since I was 19. I'm that guy who shows up at 5:30 a.m. with coffee in a thermos, nails in a pouch, and a lower back that sounds like a bag of popcorn. I'm the oldest kid, the one who just figures it out. If a shingle flies off in a storm, I'm up there before sunrise. If someone in my family runs out of rent money, I somehow pull a side job and wire it to them by Friday. It's just what I do. It's who I've always been. So, picture this. I was leaving a small-town strip mall job, the kind with a nail salon, a tax place, and a church that rents the old Dollar Tree. Midday sun was just baking the lot, those white lines on the asphalt looking like fresh paint. I walked out in my dust-caked boots, shoulders still buzzing from the compressor, already dreaming about the ham sandwich in my cooler. And then, my parking spot was empty. Just empty. I stopped. Blinked. Stupid, right? You know how your brain pulls the wrong file first? I thought, did I park on the other side? I pivoted, scanned the rows. Nothing. No silver 2024 Corolla. The one with the paid-in-full email still starred in my inbox. No little dent on the rear bumper I'd been meaning to fix. No magnetic strip with my company name. The bottom of my stomach went absolutely cold. I hit the key fob. Nothing. I actually crouched down, like the car might be hiding behind a pickup truck. Hey, you good, Lance? My helper, Mateo, called from the roof edge. Yeah. I lied, my voice a little too tight. My hand was already dialing. I called my mom, because in an emergency, I always call her. It's that reflex they train into you from birth. She picked up, cheerful. Hey honey, you at work? My car's gone, I said, my voice flat. It's not here. Did it get towed? Did I? Oh son. Relax, she said, like I was overreacting at a salad bar. We gave it to Bryan. He needs it more. I just stared at that hot, empty rectangle where 4 tires should have been. The asphalt shimmered. My jaw actually clicked shut. You what? Don't be dramatic, she chided. He had that job interview. His old one was totaled, remember? Because he totaled it, I thought, but didn't say. My voice was flattening out, becoming dangerously calm. Where are the keys? How did he even? You keep a spare in the junk drawer, she said. Casual. Bryan knows where things are. He took my car, Mom, I said, the words heavy in my mouth. I just paid it off. Don't worry. He'll bring it back after he lands something stable. We're all pitching in for family right now. Family, I repeated. It sounded like someone else's mouth. Don't be selfish, Lance. He's your brother. She said it like a line she'd rehearsed in the mirror. I hung up before the heat inside me boiled over. Then I did the thing you do when a crime is fresh and your heartbeat won't slow. I dialed 911. I gave them my name. My plate. I said it wasn't borrowed. I did not consent. And while the dispatcher read back the report number, the sun just kept baking that empty spot like it was daring me to blink first. People think roofers are dumb until their living room ceiling is bleeding rainwater. We measure twice, cut once, and live by invoices. That car, that was my first brand new anything. No salvage title. No, just needs a little work. No, I'll fix the AC later. I'd been driving clunkers since high school, rebuilding alternators on milk crates, counting quarters at gas stations. I told myself I'd buy new once I paid off Mom's lingering medical bill from the year she ignored her blood pressure. Then I helped patch Bryan's mess when he borrowed a friend's motorcycle and skidded it into a guardrail. Then I covered 3 months when the landlord threatened to evict them because Bryan lost hours again. It took me 12 years to give myself permission to sign on a showroom car. 12 years of leaning off ladders, sunlines permanent on my forearms, tar freckles that don't scrub out. I walked into that dealership, handed over a down payment that was basically a stack of summers, and told the guy, simple base, reliable. He asked if I wanted the premium sound. I said, no, I want a car I don't have to explain to a tow truck. My family did not clap. Mom said, that's a lot for a Corolla. Dad asked if I could swing by and look at the garage door on my way home. Bryan texted, sick wheels, man. I could definitely use it sometimes. Bryan is 26. He can be likable, but he's a master at creating avoidable problems. He's totaled 2 cars in 3 years. First was a faded Civic he drove with the oil light on for, his words, a while. Second was a hand-me-down SUV he flipped into a ditch on a rainy night because, apparently, Tires are a conspiracy. He never got hurt, just walked away with a new story about bad luck and hater cops. He doesn't like roofs. He likes fast money. He sells used stuff on Marketplace and calls it resale. He buys shoes with little plastic tags and calls them investments. When he needs gas, he calls me. When he wants to float a week, he calls me. When rent is due and the landlord's knocking, Mom calls me. It's always the same script. Lance, be a team player. Lance, you don't have kids. It's easier for you. Lance, you're the stable one. What they really mean is they relied on me financially more than was fair. It wasn't that I didn't help. I helped until my own checking account wheezed. I covered power bills. I bought Bryan 4 new tires because bald isn't illegal, according to his YouTube law degree. I fronted him $600 once for a forklift certification. He never finished. Each time I told myself I was investing in getting him off my back. Each time, I was wrong. Small things piled in the junk drawer. Literally. That drawer became a map of how my family treated me. My spare key. My spare fob. The title envelope from the DMV with my name, my VIN, my quiet little victory. Mom knew what was in that drawer. I'd left it at their house by accident after changing their deadbolt. She said she'd keep it safe. I believed her because I still wanted to. 2 months ago, Bryan showed up at my place while I was restriping tools. He let himself in with the key I'd given Mom for emergencies. Bro, he said, plopping on my couch, elbows on his knees like he was about to give me a halftime pep talk. I got a lead at this last-mile warehouse. Early mornings, union later. I need wheels for a couple weeks. You know how it is. No, I said. I don't do couple weeks. Don't be like that. You don't even drive it to jobs. You take the work truck. That car is mine. I said on purpose. He rolled his eyes. You got 2 vehicles, basically. I didn't say what I wanted to say, which was, I have 1 vehicle and 36 payments, now 0. I just shook my head and went back to sorting roofing knives. He left in a huff, muttering, "Family's changed you." That night, the group chat lit up. Family Only was the title. Mom. Lance, your brother asked so nicely. Dad? Share like we taught you. Bryan. Guess you forgot who looked out for you when you got dumped senior year. He'd once given me a ride to Denny's. That was looking out. I muted the chat. Work stayed steady. Summer storms, insurance checks. People need roofs no matter who shows up at their weddings. I stacked cash, paid off the Corolla early, took a picture of the satisfied letter on my kitchen table next to a coffee ring. I didn't post it. I just stared at it like it was a ticket out of a loop. Then came the empty parking spot day. You don't feel rage first. You feel stupid. Like, how did I not see this coming? How did I leave the spare there? How did I not switch the hiding place? I called Mom because I wanted her to say, we messed up. Instead, she said, we gave it to Bryan. He needs it more. The word gave lodged in my teeth. My name was on the title. My insurance was paid up. My plate was my plate. I pictured Bryan chirping the alarm on my fob, tossing my ice scraper in the back, adjusting my seat to his leaning halfway to the back style, a cologne cloud filling my cloth seats. Don't go crazy, Lance, Mom added, her voice going syrupy. It's all in the family. It's theft, I said. She clicked her tongue like I'd cursed in church. Don't talk like that. After I hung up, my phone started buzzing. Bryan, chill, man. I'll bring it back Monday. Need it for a thing. Mom, do not call the police on your own brother. Dad, if you make a scene, don't come to dinner Sunday. I went back to the roof, finished flashing the chimney with hands that wouldn't stop shaking, and told Mateo to close out the day. He asked if I wanted him to drive me home. I said no. I said I'd work it out. I told him I wasn't stranded. It sounded brave and dumb at the same time. At home, I saw the junk drawer in my head. Then I drove the company truck to my parents' house. I went straight for that drawer. Spare fob? Gone. Title envelope? Slid open, empty. Mom, I said, holding the paper husk. She didn't look guilty. She was slicing zucchini. Don't be dramatic. We needed the VIN to add Bryan to the insurance. You added him to my insurance? For a little bit? That's fraud. Stop using scary words, she snapped. Bryan is family. I looked at Dad, hoping for backup. He sipped his beer and watched the local news like the weather was the only crisis in town. Lance, Mom said, softer, switching tactics. You know your brother. If he doesn't have a car, he gets into trouble. Help him stay on track. I wanted to scream. Instead, I stared at the empty title envelope, the cheap paper fibers shedding onto my calluses, and felt that junk drawer in my chest slam shut. I went quiet for 12 hours. That worried them more than if I'd yelled. I filed the police report. I gave them the plate and VIN. I sent the insurance company a written statement. I did not authorize anyone to drive my car. I screenshotted every text. I printed the lien release. I put everything in a yellow folder like I was my own paralegal. Then I walked into Sunday dinner. They were all there. Mom, Dad, Bryan, Aunt Deb, who always takes whoever is loudest side. Plate settings, pot roast, football murmuring on low. Mom greeted me like nothing was wrong. Sit. We waited for you. I set the yellow folder on the table next to the gravy boat. I didn't sit. Where's my car? I asked. Bryan smirked. Man, you're really doing a whole thing, huh? Keys, I said. He leaned back. Hands up. You calling the cops on blood now? That's wild. Aunt Deb clucked. Lance, don't ruin dinner. I flipped open the folder. Report number. 911 call log. Screenshot of Mom's. We gave it to Bryan text. My title release with my name. My insurance policy. If you drive it, Bryan, and get pulled over, that's on you. If you hit someone. He laughed. I'm not going to hit someone. Chill. I stared at him until the smile cracked. You totaled 2 cars. That was different. Mom's voice sharpened. Lance, you're embarrassing us. I looked at her. You opened my title envelope. You took my spare key. You added Bryan to my insurance without my permission. She flushed. For a few seconds, Dad finally put his beer down. We said he'd bring it back Monday. No, I said. You said you gave it to him. Silence. The TV crowd roared for a touchdown, like background applause. Bryan pushed back from the table, his chair scraping. This is punishment because I asked to borrow it, and you said no. You've always had a control problem. I felt the click inside me. The one that says, we're done here. I'm not your bank, I said. I'm not your backup plan. I'm not your spare car. You're selfish. Mom shot back. You make good money. He's trying. I opened the folder again and laid down more paper like cards in a game I was finally willing to play. Payment receipts. New car contract. A photo of my hands black with tar from a July re-roof where the shingles stuck together like candy. I didn't raise my voice. I just stacked proof. Bryan flicked his eyes over the pile and said, still boring. Okay, I said. Then here's interesting. I pulled out the last sheet, the letter from my bank I'd requested that morning, confirming the only authorized drivers and the fact that my account wasn't linked to anyone else's policy. I added a printout of the group chat where Mom wrote, do not call the police. I looked each of them in the face. You can call me dramatic. You can call me selfish. You can call me boring. The paper says theft. The dispatch record says stolen vehicle. The insurance says do not drive. You've always liked stories. This is the one that will exist if anything happens. I pointed at Bryan. You took my car. Mom's mouth opened and closed. A fish gasping in air she didn't control. Dad stared at the gravy. Bryan scoffed. You won't go through with it. You're not built like that. The knock on the front door came like a cue from a bad sitcom. We all froze. Too gentle. Official wraps. Dad stood up slowly. He looked over at me. Did you? I made a report, I said. At the door were 2 officers. Polite. Calm. They asked for Bryan. They asked where the vehicle was. Bryan blustered. But it's hard to bluff when your name is already sitting in a black notebook. It's around the block, he finally said, sullen. I was going to bring it back. We walked out together. The evening was blue and thin. My Corolla sat crooked on the curb. My company magnet peeled halfway off like it was trying to escape, too. There was a vape in the cup holder and a fast food bag smearing mayo on my passenger seat. My stomach lurched. The officers read back the report number. They were professional, not dramatic. One looked at me and said, do you want to press charges, sir? Everyone's eyes swung to me like theater lights. My mom hissed, don't you dare. Bryan folded his arms. Say it. I looked at the car. I looked at my family. I thought about 12 years of cheap apologies and expensive favors. My mouth felt paper dry. I swallowed. I wanted impounded for evidence, I said. And I want documentation that I did not consent. Bryan's face went from cocky to cornered. Mom started crying. Dad sputtered about overreacting. Aunt Deb said, I regret this. Maybe. But seeing the car handled officially made me feel, finally, safe. The group chat went nuclear that night. Mom, we are horrified. Dad, you humiliated your mother. Bryan, you really reported it? Aunt Deb, this is disappointing. Cousin Maddie, who usually posts dog pics. Lance, broken heart. I didn't answer. I was busy. With boring things people forget save lives. Changed the address on my DMV file. Added a password to my insurance. Moved the spare key to a safe box at the shop. Scheduled a detail for the Corolla, because if I had to smell Bryan's vape for one more second, I'd torch the upholstery. The car sat in impound for 2 days. The officer called to say it matched my report. No damage. Returned to me with a receipt and bureaucratic calm. Paper stacks, paper matters. At work, I felt lighter and angrier at the same time. I carried bundles of shingles up a ladder and thought about every time I'd said, yeah, I can help, while my own laundry piled up and my oil change went overdue. Mateo noticed I was quiet. He asked if everything was okay. I said, it's finally accurate. The phone didn't stop. Mom switched from rage to strategy. If you unimpound it quickly, Nobody has to know. Dad tried logic. You made your point, son. Don't drag this out. Bryan oscillated between mockery. Bet you felt big with your little folder. And threats. Fine. I'll just tell everyone you hit me when we were kids, and that's why I'm like this. That one actually made me laugh out loud on a roof ridge, in front of a sky that didn't care about our family myths. I didn't post about any of it. I didn't subtweet. I did real life. I showed up to a widow's house with a tarp after an overnight storm and refused her attempt to pay me in cookies. I helped the church replace their steeple flashing and made sure they didn't get fleeced by a slick talker. I took a Saturday and rebuilt my toolbox like a person resetting an old house, one room at a time. Then the money stuff started shaking out. Mom texted, "We put Bryan on your insurance because the premium is lower with your good driver discount. We'll transfer him to his own next month." "No," I typed. "Take him off today. You're being impossible. Do it, or I file a fraud claim against whoever added him." She called me an ungrateful so-and-so. I sent her the screenshot of the insurer confirming the removal. I watched the receipt pop up and then go quiet. Sunday used to be family dinner. I went to the shop instead. I changed the oil in the company truck while the radio played an oldie station, and the smell of hot metal felt cleaner than any living room. Mateo swung by with tacos. We ate on overturned buckets. He told me about his daughter's science fair and how they grew crystals in a jar. I told him about paperwork. We both laughed at how adulthood is choosing your paperwork. 2 weeks later, I got a call from my aunt who never calls. "Your mother's upset. Bryan can't get to work." "Where does he work?" I asked. She paused. "Huh? Somewhere with forklifts. Then his employer has a bus route, or he can bike." "You're cold." "I'm warm to people who don't steal from me." That line surprised me. It sounded like someone who had practiced it in the mirror and was proud. Things shifted. Not dramatically, more like furniture moved in the night. Dad stopped texting me to fix his garage door, and 3 days later sent a photo of it held up with a broom handle and duct tape. Mom posted a long Facebook thing about the dangers of outsiders who turn brothers against brothers. It got 6 likes from her friends who post minion memes. Bryan posted a selfie with a rental car and captioned it, "Haters don't stop the grind." 2 days later, the rental company called me because my number was on an old emergency contact form. I told them not to call here again. Then came the thing I didn't expect. My sister Tasha, who moved 3 states away to be a nurse and keeps her head down, called me on a Wednesday night. We don't talk much. Not because we don't like each other, but because if you grow up in a house where noise is currency, silence becomes therapy. "You okay?" she asked. "Yeah," I said. "Better." She exhaled. I saw Mom's post. I also saw the group chat before she deleted half the messages. I didn't respond. Tasha cleared her throat. "When I left, nobody celebrated. They said I abandoned family. I left because I was paying for everything and doing all the chores, and Bryan kept borrowing my car. You just did something I couldn't. You named it." Silence, the good kind, floated between us. "I'm proud of you," she said, her voice small, honest. "You won't hear that from them." I sat on my porch with my boots unlaced and watched a stray cat decide whether my steps were safe. The word proud climbed into my chest like a light switching on in a back hallway. The next week, the Real fallout hit. Mom and Dad had relied on me for little invisible things. Their streaming passwords, their phone plan, the pest control renewal, a car insurance autopay I'd set up for them years ago because late fees ate them alive. I started unwinding it all. I emailed the carrier to remove myself from their family plan. I changed my Hulu. I called the pest company to put their account in their own name. Mom sent me a furious paragraph. "You turned off our shows. Your father couldn't watch the game." I typed back. "You can add your own payment method. You're punishing us. I'm not subsidizing you." She called me cheap. She told me nobody will take care of me when I'm old. She told me money had made me arrogant. I told her boundaries had made me calm. Bryan's spiral got noisy. He called me from a borrowed number. "You got my car impounded. You owe me." "No," I said. "I owe myself." "You think you're better than me?" "I think I'm done. I don't feel connected to you right now. Or my family." I said and hung up. The phrase felt corny and perfect. Work got better. Or maybe it was always this good, and I finally could feel it. The owner of the supply yard pulled me aside and said, "Heard you handled some mess clean." He offered me a better discount tier. One of our older customers sent a pie for the tall man with the kind eyes who fixed my leak in the rain. Mateo ate half. Fair. I started running again in the evenings. Not far, 2 miles along the creek trail. My knees complained the first week, then stopped. I slept without my jaw clenched. In the middle of all this, Dad showed up at my place unannounced. He stood on my porch in his baseball cap like he'd accidentally ended up at the wrong house. "You made your point," he said. "Your mother's been crying." "I'm sure she has," I said. "You don't have to be cruel." I'm not, I said. I'm consistent. He shifted. He'd never had to negotiate with me. He'd always had Mom to do it. He took off his cap, put it back on. Bryan, he's having a tough time. Bryan created a tough time. Dad's eyes sharpened. You think you're better because you hammered nails and bought a car? I think I'm responsible for what I buy, I said. And I'm done paying for things I didn't buy. He stared at me for a long second, like I was speaking a new language he didn't want to learn. Then he nodded once, tight, and left. He didn't slam the door. That felt new. Small kindnesses came from odd corners. The dispatcher who'd taken my 911 call mailed me a copy of the incident report with a sticky note. Keep this with your records. The tow guy knocked a little off the fee because family mess ain't your fault. The detail shop vacuumed every last fry crumb from the back, and I tipped like a man who just reclaimed square footage in his life. A month later, Tasha texted me a screenshot. Mom had written a long post about boundaries and respect after Bryan missed 2 days of babysitting her neighbor's kid and the neighbor cut them off. The post accidentally sounded like therapy. People commented supportive things. Mom replied with heart emojis. Tasha added, I'm telling you, something cracked. Maybe a little. I didn't celebrate. I didn't believe in overnight conversions. But I did notice the calls from Mom got shorter, less demands, more weather updates. Dad sent me a photo of the garage door fixed properly, tracks clean, no broom handle. He didn't ask me to clap. I didn't need to. I took the Corolla for a long drive on a Sunday morning, early roads empty, coffee in the cup holder, radio low. I rolled the windows down and let the smell of dew and asphalt and 100 summer roofs fill the car. My car. Mine because I worked for it. Mine because I said so on paper and out loud. I wish I could say it ended with everyone hugging. It didn't. The truth was smaller and better. I learned the difference between crisis and pattern. Crisis? An empty parking spot. Pattern? A family treating my work like a community chest unlocked by blood. Crisis made me dial 911. Naming the pattern changed me. At impound, the clerk slid my keys over. You good? Yeah. Since then, I keep a yellow folder. Registration, insurance, receipts, boundaries. So my life doesn't hinge on anyone's mood. Bryan still lobs grenade texts. I answer with one word. No. Mom starts the old script. I say love you. Not discussing. And hang up. Dad is awkward. Drops off a rusty mower. I don't have grass. Fine. The best change is boring. Boots. A soap-smelling car. Roofs. Dinner. Tasha sends cat pics. I send clouds. Guilt noses around like a stray. I leave the porch light on and let it pass. Family doesn't outrank ownership, safety, or self-respect. Love knocks. I lost a spot and found a line. And I won't cross it, or let anyone else. What about you? Have you ever had to draw a hard line with family, even when it hurt? I really want to hear your stories in the comments below.